Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Professor Ming's Strategic Insights. Last week, we talked about Xi Jinping's purge of two three-star generals. One is General Zhang Youxia, the vice chairman of the Central Military Commission, and also a member of the Politburo member. So it's a high-ranking officer. And the other one is General Liu Zhenli, another three-star general, who's the chief of the Joint Staff Department. So the news was so big. And I remember that I mentioned to you that the impact will be great. So for the past week, we've heard so many rumors and speculations circulating in Beijing and also in the circle of international China watchers. So this is big, and we expect that there's a lot more to come. But anyway, we're going to do a follow-up today. In order to put the question in perspective, let's review a piece of news happened last year. On October the 17th, 2025, the Chinese announced, the Communist China made an announcement saying that they just purged 9 three-star generals. You heard me right, 9 three-star generals. First one is General He Weidong, a three-star general, a Politburo member, and also a member of the CMC, Central Military Commission, and most importantly, who was the vice chairman, another vice chairman of the Central Military Commission, He Weidong. And the second one is General Miao Hua, a three-star general, also a member of the CMC, who's the highest commissar of the PLA, of the army, General Miao Hua. And together with these two important generals, there are 7 other generals, also all of them were three-star generals. General He, the number 2 commissar, and General Wang, the executive deputy director of the Joint Operation Command Center. And then General Lin, the commander of the East Theater Command. And General Qin, commissar of the Army. General Yuan, commissar of the Navy. And General Wang, commander of the Rocket Force. And last one, General Wang, commander of the Armed Police. All 9 of them, like I said, were three-star generals. So let me not bother you with all these Chinese names. Let's focus on both General Miao Hua and He Weidong, the number 1 commissar and the vice chairman of the CMC. These 2 generals were considered close political protégés of Xi Jinping's. So the question is, who purged these 2 generals? Was it Xi Jinping himself, or could that be somebody else? I remember that last week I mentioned one possibility. Could that be Zhang Youxia, who's the one that purged both General Miao Hua and He Weidong, since these 2 were the protégés of Xi Jinping's? So if he was the one who purged these 2 generals, that means there must be a power struggle between General Zhang Youxia and Xi Jinping himself. So Zhang Youxia purged these 2 in order to weaken Xi Jinping, and he did it, and he succeeded. Now that Zhang Youxia is purged, Zhang Youxia himself is being purged now. So could General Miao Hua and He Weidong be rehabilitated? Or what about other people? But there is a possibility that other people, other generals, were not purged by Xi Jinping, but was purged by Zhang Youxia out of a political struggle between the two big ones. So we cannot rule out the possibility. Well, let's see. That's something very intriguing in terms of Beijing politics. Well, as you can remember, after the conclusion of a cultural revolution, basically after the death of Mao Zedong and also the purge of the Gang of Four, there are so many cadres who were purged during the cultural revolution being rehabilitated. So it ended up in some of the departments, some of the government and party departments. They had more than 10 or even a dozen of so-called vice chairmen or deputy secretaries or deputy ministers or vice ministers and so on and so forth. So it's a bizarre phenomenon. But anyway, that happened. So could that be happening again this time? So like I said, there's something worth watching for the future. So why does the purge of General Zhang Youxia cause so much trouble? That produces so many speculations and rumors. Well, Zhang Youxia, being a professional soldier who's been in the army, been in the military for more than 50 years, he's one of the PLA generals who had real combat experience, who fought the war against Vietnam in late 1970s, and he's so influential in Chinese army, and he also has a very good reputation. Not that he's not corrupt, but he's very good at military stuff anyway. So he's quite popular in the army and also in the military. So the question is, how does the Chinese military respond to his purge? And this is a big question. As we mentioned last time, 8 hours after the announcement of his purge, on January the 24th, the PLA daily, the People's Liberation Army daily, printed an editorial and seriously accused Zhang Youxia of violating some or committing some serious crimes and things like that. The most important thing is, I have to read it out to you, that General Zhang Youxia severely trampled upon and undermined the system of ultimate responsibility of the chairman of a Central Military Commission. Namely, he trampled upon and undermined the authority of Xi Jinping, the president of the Central Military Commission. And I think that's the most serious accusation that they could impose upon General Zhang. And the week after that, we see some kind of criticism coming out from the newspaper here and there, but with much weaker tones. So we thought that things would be dying down very soon. But to our surprise, it rose up again. The PLA Daily printed 3 articles attacking Zhang Youxia in a row. On January the 31st, and February the 1st, and February the 2nd. Let's briefly explain what they said in these 3 articles. In January the 31st article, the PLA Daily demanded that the military to support the decision of the Party Central. Party Central, essentially, it refers to the Central Committee of the Chinese Communist Party. But here it's a synonym for Xi Jinping himself. So meaning that they demand the army to support Xi Jinping's decision. That means, or that implies, somebody is not supporting Xi Jinping's decision. And you have to read it like this. Okay, that's the first article. The second article says that we have to resolutely make up our mind of the PLA to fight the war against corruption. And that's the second article. The third article says, it's important, so I have to read it out. The army must be aware of the prevailing political trend. You may not understand what it means. Like I said, the Chinese communists pay much attention to propaganda, but we have discovered the rule of their propaganda. Whatever they stress in the newspaper, that means what is lacking. So when they stress unity, that means there's lots of infighting inside the system. If they say we have to be determined, that means lack of determination and things like that. So that means if they demand the army to be aware of the prevailing political trend, that means a lot of people, or at least some people inside the military, is not aware of the prevailing political trend. Well, this is important because in CCP's political discourse, this is often a very stiff warning. It implies that individuals must align themselves with the top leaders or top leadership's decision. Otherwise, they're going to face consequences. And as for the trend, they have to be aware of the prevailing trend. The trend means the will of the leader, and it's considered inevitable, and it's something you must obey. But that means there's a very serious internal pushback or resistance, or at least soft resistance of the leaders or leadership's decision. So that means there's some discontent or even antagonism about Xi Jinping's decision to purge General Zhang, and that's very serious. The reason we say this is because we have observed a very unusual phenomenon. In the past, when something this big happened, people would come up and express their feeling or their position about this. Usually, the commanders of the 5 theater commands and the commanders or the heads of the military services and branches, and the commanders of the group armies or the military units, and so on and so forth, will come out and say something like, we unswervingly uphold the decision of the party's Central Committee, meaning that we support Xi Jinping completely. They will either issue an article and print it in the People's Daily or PLA Daily, or they will upload a video or something like that to show their support. But this time, it is very unusual. Up to this point, up to the time we do this recording, we have seen none of these articles, none of the videos of this nature. That means they're all silent. So our interpretation is there is at least a very, very tacit so-called soft resistance to this decision. So that means the decision is very unpopular, and that's something big in Chinese politics, especially inside the PLA, the People's Liberation Army. This is something unprecedented, something we have never seen before. So this is big. So you may wonder, what would happen next? The important question now is, what does Xi Jinping have on his mind? I think he may be suspecting Zhang Youxia, General Zhang, if he's betraying Xi Jinping, that Zhang Youxia must not be alone. He did not do it all by himself. There must be somebody behind him, supporting him, or urge him to do this. And we're not talking about military people. We're not talking about soldiers. We're talking about civilian people or civilian officials. They must be very high-ranking officials. They may be still in position, or they may be retired, or anyway. But that's what Xi Jinping may be suspecting. So he may be suspecting people like Jiabao, the former premier of the Chinese government, and Zeng Qinghong, the former member of the Politburo many years ago, who's still alive and who's still well, influential to a certain extent, and Hu Chunhua, and supposedly the heir apparent to Hu Jintao, but then he resigned to Xi Jinping himself, and also the Princelings people. So Xi Jinping may be suspecting all these people were behind Zhang Youxia, because Zhang Youxia, as a soldier, would not be so ambitious or would not be so bold enough to do a thing like that. So that may be something on Xi Jinping's mind. So now Xi Jinping is in big trouble. What should I do with these people? About Jiabao, about Zeng Qinghong, and the Princelings people. Should I arrest them, or should I leave them alone? Or how many people, how many of them should I arrest? And am I capable of arresting them because they're still influential and so powerful? And another question is, if I don't do anything about them, what would they do about me? So that's a big question for him. So like I said, China is facing a period of very, very big and very, very intense political turmoil from now on. And China is caught in an atmosphere of mutual distrust. The leadership is not trusting his subordinates, and the subordinates are not trusting their leader. So it's going to be a very unstable and very tense period in terms of Chinese politics. Well, that's something that we have to keep watching for some time to come. And I have talked enough about it, and there's a lot more to talk about it, and I'll save something for next time. So this is what I want to share with you today. I hope you like it, and please share it with your friends if you haven't done so, and please subscribe to it, and do remember to click the icon bell so they'll get an on-time notification. Okay, that's all for today. I'll see you next time.